Hola, peoples. Welcome to Deviant Witchery, where a witch can be an awesome fucking witch. No limitations, no holding each other back. Tonight's show is called Magic by Proxy, is substitution bullshit. We've had a lot of people actually, I've had actually a lot of people ask me about substitution. We just talked about this in one of our members only shows. We discussed something that one of our members came across, and it was a blood substitute, which is I don't even know how to respond to that. Yeah, so a lot of people creating substitutions for things that really you can't substitute. So let's start with that because that's probably like the easiest. Let's talk, even though we talked a little bit about that in the members only show. Blood substitution. Yay, nay. What's going on with that?
No.
Not at all.
No, that's just gross. And the pictures that she showed us, or that we seen, that you seen, and then you let us see it, is what I should say.
Right.
But that is fucking gross. That looked like murky water with mud and something collected at the bottom. There's no way I could use a blood substitution ever. That's no.
It looked like something you would collect like at a public restroom. Like it just looked gross.
Yeah.
Like it was gross. Blood is blood, y'all. Like how can? First of all, how can you you can't substitute blood. Blood is powerful. Blood is potent and strong, and it has a very specific essence. And I think that's kind of like the whole topic and the expression that we will show tonight is every ingredient that you work with has a specific energetic imprint. So when you substitute something for another, one thing for another thing, you alter with the E, alter, the spell, the formula. You alter the creation that you're putting forth. So you alter the magic. So it's okay if you understand what one item does versus the other, but if you don't comprehend it, if you don't understand like the different energies and how they work with the other ingredients in your formula, it might be very chaotic in a negative sense, and it might not work. You know? I don't know. It's just
Yeah, that substitution thing. I mean, that you can't substitute that. Because if you're doing a working that calls for your blood, and we're not talking like, pints of blood here, we're talking like a drop of blood. I mean, that's not, you can't substitute that. That'd be almost like substituting your spit with some water.
Right.
It's just, you can't do it. And for people who, she bought this, our member, she bought this. That means there's somebody out here selling this shit. And people are buying it. She bought it for a purpose. She bought it because she wanted to see. She was curious, and she wanted to show what it was. She wasn't buying it to use it.
She's being investigated.
She wanted to see. She wanted to share with us what she bought and what she saw. But for people to sell it and then, I mean, that's just stupid. And then for people to actually believe that it works and buy it, that makes me worry a lot.
Yeah, it worries me as well, just because there's a lot of new and even not so new people who may not be aware, or they may just trust the, I don't know where it was sold, I don't know anything like that, but they might trust the individual or the company, whatever, that's selling these things like blood substitutes, and so they don't even like think twice. But you should always think twice. I even tell my clients, like, if you buy something from me, you can ask me questions. You can use your proper discernment. Think about it. Don't just because I love it and I create it and I know what I'm doing and I put something forth, doesn't mean you should just trust. Ask questions. Like, just be smart about it. I do that all the time, and I don't think negatively about people asking me questions about my products. It's fine. I actually encourage it, because that means you're actually taking what you are doing seriously, and you want to get the best results. So there are going to be people out there who trust blindly and think that the whatever working they're doing, that requires blood, and they utilize blood substitute, is going to be as powerful. And it's not, because I just don't understand the thinking there, because especially with blood, because blood comes from you, comes from the witch, and then if you have a substitute, you can't substitute your own personal essence. You just,
Right.
if you want to do something, I mean, spit, your like nails, so your skin, like something like that would be a better option versus some shit water.
Right.
And I'm like, really, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Like, oh, oh.
And even nails.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, even like nails and hair would be not the best substitute, really, because blood
Right.
has its own energy that's completely different. I mean, I don't know why anybody would be leery of using their own blood, honestly. It's not hard to do, especially now that they have like those really awesome diabetic tester tourniquets that just like pop, it's done. It doesn't even hurt. No one's asking you to split your hand open.
No, please don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a substitute. Nothing is a substitute for blood, but there are other options that
Right.
you can contemplate in a working, but you have to understand the working as a whole. There was something else that just totally came to mind, and it like flew out. What were you gonna say, Scarlett?
Oh my god. Oh, about the people that are creating this blood substitution. They should really be ashamed of themselves. Because the people that they are trying to target are the people who don't know better yet. And more specifically, and I don't mean this in like a bad way at all, but new practitioners. Because older practitioners that have been working for, doing this for a long time, know that there's no substitution for blood. And so these people that are creating this blood substitution, they're like little vampires, feeding on these new practitioners. And these new practitioners are believing, because obviously they're believing it, because they're buying it.
And
It's so sad.
well, and the horrible thing about this is that substitute, I don't even think was red.
It wasn't. It looked like murky, muddy water.
It was shit. It looked like shit.
Yeah.
But so let's take an example. What kind of working should we discuss? Let's take an example. What the like working that pops into your head? What's the first thing? Like malediction, love, lust. What? Let's do lust. Sorry, I asked you a question and I answered. So let's say we're doing a lust blend, and the blend asks for like tribulus, which is very, very good for very raw masculine primal energies, and someone wants to substitute it, and someone said, well, you can use rosemary to substitute anything, So we're going to take Tribulus, which is this very, again, like I said, very. It has very phallic energy. It's very raw, male, masculine, just primal potency. And then they say, well, since someone said Rosemary could be substituted for anything, we're going to put Rosemary in this formula, this lust formula, instead of Tribulus, because we don't have Tribulus, and I don't want to invest, and I don't want to, I don't want to get that because I have Rosemary, and it can go in this blend. So what's the problem about that? What about that causes issues?
Well, if you're going after Tribulus for the phallic energy, and then trying to substitute Rosemary, which does not have a masculine energy whatsoever, I don't know. I don't want to get like really technical about Rosemary. Mostly, it's feminine. If anything toward the masculine, it's neutral. That's more of its energy, and it's way more feminine than neutral. That's just like if I had to stretch it, it would be more neutral. So you changed it completely. You took away that raw and that phallic and that that sexual potency that Tribulus has. And that's the issue I think with this substitution is that you've taken away so much potency that you can't replace something so. And Tribulus has such a beautiful energy. It's raw and it's powerful and it adds this. I can't explain it. You have to work with it. Yes, it adds that penis, that very phallic energy to it. So Rosemary being a more feminine, more very watery, very taking into. It's very much literally vaginal when I think about it. That's the only way I can describe it, and that just you fucked it over. So I just what is a good? Let's go before I end my rant. If I was going to try, if I did not have Tribulus and I needed that raw phallic nature, I would use mistletoe berries.
Really?
That's where I would go with that.
I like that. I would probably for some reason that didn't even come to mind. I would probably utilize horny goatweed.
Yes.
And that makes more sense for that type of formulation, like what you said and what I expressed too. For such a formulation, it's not going to be the same formula because anytime, like we said, you change an ingredient, you alter the formulation, and you create something different. So Rosemary, if you added that to this lust drawing, this very primal, this raw, a blend, Rosemary is like a cock block. It's more like, Rosemary is more interested in wisdom, spirits, and looking beautiful and bringing beauty, kind of like virginity, like just the ultimate virgin, where she's very interested in but that's Rosemary's a she. She has this like alluring aspect, but she doesn't want to be touched. Like I'm gonna seduce like you just from being beautiful and pristine, but you're not touching me. Like get away from me. I'm self-involved. But
I don't know. I like using rosemary in some lust, not for that particular reason, but in some lust combinations too, especially when you mix it with patchouli, because to me it seems like those two work together really well as far as you have the sexual allure of patchouli, and rosemary, especially with women, to me can help open themselves up to be receptive to that freakier side of things. It makes them a little bit more agreeable.
That kind of like shows a very interesting thing is because it can be utilized in a different way, but what you just expressed is different from what the actual formulation was.
Right.
So
right.
You can use rosemary in that type of working, like in the love working or even lust drawing, but it is different. You have to use the right combination of ingredients to support that. So for like this very primal, raw, natural, instinctual energy, rosemary wouldn't cut it in this blend. So that's this is important for anyone to understand, because it does have its place, and I can definitely see rosemary being utilized in like lust and love drawing, for especially for women, depending on the ingredients that are around it. It's just, but again, it changes the formulation, it changes the energy, because if you take time to feel and connect with rosemary, and you take time to feel and connect with tribulus, you're gonna be like, oh, why would I even think that I could utilize rosemary for this?
Well, you just said a million words in that sentence. The practitioners aren't taking the time. So that, and those are the ones I can't even call practitioners. Actually, the ones that think they're practitioners and have been practicing for so long. Even they, and there's plenty of them on YouTube. There's plenty of them on Facebook. Anywhere you go, you run into these practitioners that it's like they speak of an herb, and you automatically know they have not taken any time whatsoever to get to know that spirit and commune with that spirit. And it's not just the new practitioners. This is a warning to the new practitioners. Don't be that witch. Get to know, take the time to commune with your herbs, take the time to learn them on a spiritual level. Don't read it out of a book and just think you know it. Because the problem with that is that, yes, books are very knowledgeable, and there are a few books that are really knowledgeable on herbs, actually, though there are a plethora of books on herbs.
My favorite word.
And anything for that matter. They're just not taking the time. They're reading, 200, 300-year-old manuscript of, some English professor dude that wrote about, dandelion and said that dandelion was good for beauty. And then they've expanded on it for years and years and years, which it's not. Don't do that. But you see what I'm saying? It's like they're not getting to know it, and that I feel is the problem, and that's why they think that substitutions are okay. And it's not that I'm not saying that substitutions are like don't ever do it. Just know that it's not really a substitution.
Right.
It's just using another herb to get a similar energy. But when I formulate, and when y'all formulate, it's like, first of all, there are separate herbs. And then as you start to formulate something, they become their own energy in and of itself. It's like a recipe, how you can take cream and butter and flour and make a cake. They were separate components going into it. They are this nice new formula coming out of it. And that formula is ever going to be altered depending on the ingredients that go into it.
Right. Absolutely. And this is going to go into like hair stuff. And I know there are actually a lot of hairdressers and a lot of people who are into hair out there and who are practitioners or striving to be practitioners. But when you take like a color formulation, and let's say like this, my hair was like really blue a few weeks ago. If I took the blue pigment that I put in my color, and if I put half of it in there, it would probably be like this right off the bat. Okay? So it changes. So I put more. I put like an ounce, and it made it even more blue, like blue. So it changes it. Yes, you could use, and that's using the same type of product. So even when you have the same herb, if you put too much in the formulation, too much might be, well, too much, not what you want. Because, because having too much might oversaturate the energy. You need to, that's why it's important to understand and get to know the items that you work with, because when you put too much or you put not enough, and you can feel it. Like today I created a really awesome blend. It's a alteration of an older blend I have, and I put just a little bit of one herb in it, and because if I put too much, it would overpower the blend, and that energy would just like kill it. That energy that I utilized with that herb, it was for kind of like calming down, for helping with anxiety, and for allowing the witch to be in a state where they can just relax and be open to what is coming to them, or to be able to relax enough to travel through dreams. If I put too much of that one herb, you'd probably just pass out, and it wouldn't be beneficial, because I would just like, you would sleep, and you wouldn't get shit done. So too much of one ingredient is also not necessarily the best thing when creating stuff. I don't know where I was going with that, but I had to share that anyways.
Well, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but I've noticed, like, if I read a book about herbs and their magical correspondence, they're written in another country, say England, their ideas of what things are completely different. Like, they have different folklore that backs up their reasoning. Like someone here not too long ago posted in the group about willow trees. And in England, apparently, they suck ass, because it was all about, like, suicide and death. And willows, I live in the swamp, so we have weeping willows everywhere, and that's just not the energy they really put off here.
Right.
Here, it was always a sign of life. There was water nearby, and so people really cherished willow trees. They knew that, it was a good place to build a home because water was close. And you always get more of a, I always get more of a protection vibe and life and divination from willow trees than I would depression or sadness. So, I don't know, I've always found that kind of interesting, that depending on where the book was written, like as far as their localization and geography, they can have a very different perception of plants.
Right. Yeah, and I think again, that's why it's so important for the practitioner, his or herself, to get to know the energies of whatever you're working with, because when the witch personally works with an herb or a tree, you connect with it differently. Your energy and the item's energy might connect in a better way, so it might open up to you more. It might have a more protective feeling over you. The way you treat it, the way you have respect and reverence for it, that determines the type of relationship that you will have with the spirits of these, these herbs, these items. So that, again, that is why it's so freaking important to do your own research, and don't just take what we have to say or what anyone has to say. Do your own research. Get the herbs. Connect with them.
Grow them yourself if you can. That's the best way for me to learn and get to know an herb spirit, is to actually grow it. So.
She has a green thumb.
Yeah, I was gonna be the first to say that. Like, if you're good at it.
Yeah.
Practice.
Because
Anybody
if you're not nice to your herbs aren't going to be nice to you. So growing them would be detrimental. If it's really shitty.
And what Nimbus said, a little bit ago, is something that we need to also emphasize, is that we need to change the way we perceive and we interpret substitution. It's not taking one ingredient and replacing it with another so it can be the exact same thing. No, and what he already said is the same thing I'm going to repeat. When you add another item in it, into your formulation, into your working, you want to go with as close to what resonates with the item you're replacing. So again, if you want like this raw primal essence, you need to find another item that's going to be raw primal in and of itself. So you add that to the blend, and you have to make sure that that gets along with the other items in your formula. So be sure to understand, again, I'm going to repeat myself over and over and over until you get annoyed. I'm getting annoyed with myself. To make sure to understand that it's not substituting the exact same energetic influence. It is not. You are finding something that is in resonance with it and adding it to the formula so you get something similar but different. And you never know. And sometimes, like, there have been times where I wanted to create a formula I had, and I was out of one thing, and I'm impatient, so I won't wait. I'll order it, and I still won't wait. So I'll be like, okay, I have a shit ton of herbs to choose from. So I will go and I will look and I will scan. I'll scan it and I'll see what calls out to me, and I'll pick a few, and then I'll look at them and I'll communicate with them, and I'll understand like which one is perfect for what I'm working with. And I'll find that I create something new, and then during that process, I might take other. It's like a freaking jigsaw puzzle, or like a Rubik's Cube almost. Like I'll take some other herbs out, and I'll put new ones in, and then I create something entirely new, but even more potent, and it tackles the situation slightly differently, but very, very powerful. So that's a fun thing to do, because then you start finding out new formulations, new blends, and you find what herbs and ingredients work well with each other. So yeah, substitution is bullshit when you believe it's replacing one thing exactly as the other.
Yeah, and Scarlett's brought up before, sometimes you will run into the fact that some herbs just want to be used in everything, even when they really don't need to be there. You have just some herb spirits that will really call out to you and just always are like, me, pick me. I want to go. I want to be in there.
Yeah. That's patchouli for me. Like today I was creating something, and patchouli is like, I want in. I'm like, no, you are not. You can't. Like, I cannot use you today. Not today. Stay away, patchouli. Not today. But it's true. That's honestly magic by proxy. Substitution is definitely bullshit. Is there anything else y'all would love to add on to, express before we close this and go done?
Well, obviously, developing that relationship with the herb spirits that you work with, and being able to create things with it is really important, but it would be amazing if you could grow your own stuff, because as you are nurturing this herb as a baby, and you are tending to it and nurturing it and all that stuff, you're getting it as a seed, and you're taking care of it so it grows into this awesome big plant. That right there will increase the closeness and the connection that you have with that herb spirit. So even if you think you don't have a green thumb, try it anyway. It is such a rewarding thing to be able to grow the plants that you end up working with in your magical workings. Or if you do create products, it seems like it's even more potent to use those that you grew yourself. And when I say talk to them, I'm not kidding. Talk to them.
She's not kidding. She's not.
I talk to mine all the time.
I do too.
All the time. You should hear it when I plant my seeds. Every season when I plant my seeds, I talk to my seedlings like they are little babies. And they're growing. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. That's how I develop my relationship with them. And then as they get bigger in their little pots, I'll talk a little bit more, grown up, I guess, or whatever. And then when they're full and ready to go, I talk to them the way that they should be talked to. But, that's just me. I'm sure these guys do the same thing. But if you're going to be using them in magic, and especially in creating products, you need to have that relationship or you're going to make absolutely shit.
Right.
You're not going to make anything that is worth anything.
Mhm. Huh. My grandmother used to say when you plant basil, you're supposed to cuss at it. Make it grow well. So she would be planting basil seeds and like cussing at it the whole time. It's the funniest thing. I know.
You motherfucker.
That's funny, but I can see that I can see why she says that because basil can be really fucking stubborn as it's growing.
Definitely.
So, yeah, that makes sense. So plant your seed and be like, you're gonna grow, bitch.
Right.
I mean,
Fucking like it.
Don't give me no fucking shit.
Exactly.
oh my gosh, I need to grow basil.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Basil is fun to grow. It has such a personality. Oh my god.
And honestly, it's other than it being stubborn, it's not a bad herb to grow. It's pretty hardy.
Yeah, it is. It is. I find that growing my own yarrow, that plant is so, I don't know how to explain it. It's really quiet from the others, and it needs a little bit more attention. Not so much as in like, taking away the weeds or like the dead spots on it or the watering. It's just it needs more talking. Like it's like one of those, like how you see a kid in a room full of people, and that one single kid is off in the corner because they're so shy and so timid, and they're standing there with their head down. That is how yarrow is with me. Why I'm growing it. And so by the time that it's done growing and it's ready to be, jarred and all that stuff, then it's a lot more open. That's how it works for me anyway. I'm sure everybody's different. But you start to know the personalities of your herbs as you're growing them yourself. And like I said, it's so much more rewarding to grow them yourself.
Definitely. So just do it. Just try it.
Just do it, damn it. Just do it. Oh my god, my bags. Ugh. Yes. So we hope that you enjoyed this experience, and we would love to hear your perceptions of substitutions and such. Even if you don't agree with us, that's cool. Like, that's awesome. Tell us why. Like, do a video, do a response, do a blog post, something, but make us aware of it, and let us know. Like, explain and express yourself as to why you either agree or you don't agree. If you want to have fun with it, do what can be utilized instead of this versus that, like we did with Tribulus and Rosemary. Have fun with it, and the more you start to think about things like that, the more you start to grow as a witch, and the more you start to grow as a practitioner, and the more that your mind starts to enhance. Because when you're out of something, you'll be like, okay, shit, I don't have that. Instead of going blank, you'll automatically start engaging yourself to find the next best thing, and the more you do that, the faster and the easier it becomes. So definitely, let us know what you think. Let us know if there's anything that you would love for us to talk about on the public shows. We will definitely take those into consideration, and we love doing this. We're very grateful for everyone who participates and engages with us and shares the videos. It's fun. It's fun to hear hear your thoughts. It's fun to hear what you gain from what we say, and it's fun to see everyone have a good time. So definitely participate. And now we must go so we can do our members only show. And y'all can definitely check those out if you become a member, a subscribing member. We get a little more personal, we get a little more, straight to advice, and we definitely customize it for everyone who subscribes. So we will definitely put that information in the description box. But until next time, have fun.